All right, here we go. We're going to do this quick here. This is how to make your alphabet from your template. So we're going to go here into our computer. We're going to look in our extras drive here. You're going to have a lot fewer than I will. It's the O drive here. In Art, into Photo 1, and into Final Theme Alphabet. I'm going to double click on this. It's going to open it up in Photoshop. Then the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to rename this and resave it. Because you can't save into the O drive, you're going to have to save into your own location, which hopefully will be your Google Drive. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to say Save As. Here's my name. I'm going to say my last name. So you'll put your own last name on there. I'm going to say Alphabet. Oops. Alphabet. I'm going to underscore. I'm going to put your period number. So for here, I'm just going to put period 5, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Photoshop is what I want, and then the desktop is the important place I'm going to change my save to. I'm going to say Save, and I'm going to say OK. You're not going to replace it, but I'm going to replace mine. Doesn't matter. Yours is just going to say Brand New. So now here's your interface. Your grid might look different than mine. To change that grid, you're going to say View, you're going to say Show, and you're going to say Grid. You'll also notice that the Control apostrophe is the hide and show the grid here. So if I hit Control apostrophe on my keyboard, it hides the grid and it shows the grid. If I want to change my grid if it's not set up correctly, I'm going to go to Edit. I'm going to say Preferences, and I'm going to say Guides, Grid, and Slices here. And I'm going to set up my preferences to say a grid line every 2 inches, and with 1 subdivision it's going to give me my 30 squares. And then this color here, I can click a different color if I want to. I'm going to make my grid an annoying color, and I'm going to say OK like so. And I'm going to say OK. So now I'm all set to go with my alphabet letters. Now step 2 is we are going to download our pictures from Google Drive, and you saw that in another demonstration, right to our desktop here. So I'm going to grab a letter, and let's grab the T here. So I'm going to take the T and I'm going to drag it right on top. Now what you'll notice is it opens a separate tab. So here's my alphabet, and here's my other letter. And I want to make sure that my target is always this alphabet template here. So I'm going to go to the letter that I opened up. I'm going to say Select All. So that puts the selection line around the outside. I'm going to say Edit, Copy. I'm going to go back to my alphabet. I'm going to say Edit, and I'm going to say Paste. Now this letter is giant, which is fine because the pixel depth does not match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my moving tool. I'm going to click on my Show Transform controls up here. You can see the way those dots appear and disappear. Remember, these are the preferences for our tool. I'm going to hold down the Shift key on my keyboard, and I'm going to drag the corner. I'm going to let go of the Shift key. I'm going to bring it back up to the center. Oops. Hang on, the computer's thinking. There we go. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to shrink it down. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to shrink it so that it fits. Oops. You're going to shrink it so it fits into your square. Okay. Just like so. And then there's a check mark here. If I want to go back to the beginning, I can go back to the beginning, or I can hit my check mark and say OK. So if I commit my transformation, there I am, I'm all done. Now, every time you bring in a letter, you'll notice that it creates a new layer here on the right-hand side. So just be aware of that. The more letters you get, you just want to make sure that you're always clicking on the right layer. See the way it deactivates the T and then reactivates the T? So you just want to make sure you're on the proper layer there. Now, this T has a little bit of extra room here, this black, that I do not want on here. So what I'm going to do, I'm holding my Shift key, and I'm going to make the T a little bit larger than the square, right? And I can use my arrow keys to sort of nudge it and make sure that everything fits right. And I want to trim off all this on the outside edge. So to do that, I'm going to use my Marquee tool. I got to apply my transformation first. That was a little check marks up here. Use my Marquee tool. I'm going to bring it down like this. So I selected just the box in the center. I'm going to go back up to Select, and instead of all this time, I'm going to say Inverse. From the inverse, I selected, instead of the middle, I selected everything on the outside edge here. Make sure I'm on the right layer, so I'm deleting from the right layer. Hit the backspace key on my keyboard. There you go, voila. Go to Select, say Deselect, and I'm good to go. So that's my first letter. So then I'm going to bring in the letter B. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to drag it on top. It puts it right here. I'm going to close this letter out. So I have letter B here. I'm going to say Select All. I'm going to go Edit, and I'm going to say Copy. You can use the key commands if you want to. I'm going to say Edit, I'm going to say Paste. So here we go. So I can see here on the right-hand side, here's layer 1. Here's layer 2 is my B. I'm going to use my moving tool, hold down the Shift key. I'm going to shrink this guy down a little bit. I'm going to move him up. I'm going to shrink him down, like so. I'm going to move him up, like so. And I'm going to shrink him down just to make sure he fits. All right, I'm going to check my checkbox. There's my B, easy as that. Remember, using Control apostrophe, I can toggle the grid away so I can see what it's going to look like when it's all finished. Here again, there's the T, there's the B, the T, and the B. So you can reorder these layers. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but you just want to make sure you're in the right layer when you're making your connections. So here you're just going to keep adding those letters, keep putting them in, keep closing these ones that you're done with, and then when you're done, just remember that you should be saving along the way. You can save it as a Photoshop document for now. When we're all done, we'll flatten it and save it as a JPEG. And that's all you got to do.